Welcome to Holly's Pandorium, featuring your host, psychic medium Holly Jordan.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Holly of Holly's Pandorium, and I have with me today a new guest that's local. This is amazing. This is the second local person that's a psychic medium that I've met this year, so I'm really excited. So please welcome with me. This is Darcie Velez. Hello, Darcie.
Hello. How are you, Holly?
Good, good. I'm glad to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm glad you had me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear any of your stories that have to do with the paranormal. What have you got?
Oh, I have quite a few. I mean, I would say probably one that was the most impactful would have been my very first one. Probably about 22 years ago. I was with my former spiritual teacher up in the Berkshires. It was an old school that used to be an old boys school. And it had been converted into a hotel with a horse stable down. It was a really beautiful area out there. And apparently history of that was there were a lot of Confederate soldiers that at one point used that facility during the war. And one night we were walking through, going down to the basement because she had an event down there with some ladies. And then when we were coming back to go upstairs, I literally had two spirits walk through my body, and it was just like, whoa, okay. Kind of feel a little rubber bandy and like,
Right.
and she's just trotting along, and I'm just like, oh, and she's like, where are you? And I'm just like standing there, just stuck because it's literally plasma walking through me. It was a very interesting experience, for sure. And it definitely wasn't the only experience that weekend up there. So I
Yeah.
had the former owner, his name was Frank, I think Frank or Fred. And the room we had was one of the more haunted rooms. So we didn't go to bed. And when we tried to go to bed, my sheets would get pulled off of me and someone would start playing with my toes.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, don't, I'm ticklish.
Oh, no.
Like, please don't tickle my toes. But they were like playing with them, like squeezing them, like,
Yeah.
and then we had turned the lights off to go to sleep, and then they're like, nope, lights are gonna come back on. So that was all night. So I don't think we got to sleep till about 4, and then we literally turned around and got back up around 8. But that was one of my very first experiences.
That's pretty wild.
The spirit world, and I wasn't afraid at all. It was just kind of like, oh, that's what that feels like. But yeah, it was pretty impactful for me. And it just continued on over the years. I would say one that was probably super impactful for me would have been after I moved back to the Pacific Northwest, because I did live in Puerto Rico, so there was a lot of paranormal that I dealt with down there. But a friend of mine used to let me do my readings in his home when I first moved back about 11 years ago. And one of his friends' cousins or sister or something needed a reading in his home. His home was very haunted. He had a couple of spirits that lived there that had passed away there. And she had come over, and she was in an abusive relationship, potentially to marry the guy. And she needed a reading, and I was like, yeah, no problem. And that reading was just, it felt like it was nonstop. It felt like it was just going and going. And literally, I think I channeled in about 5 or 6 different spirits. And all of a sudden, the whole house got so cold that all the cats ran outside, all the dogs ran outside. And she's just, and I'm like, I have to stop this. I have to stop this. I can't feel my toes. I can't feel my mouth. And I had to shut it down. And that was really, really impactful. It took me about 3 days to ground back down from that because my body literally had lost its complete temperature. My lips were blue, my
Wow.
fingers were blue. The house just got so freezing cold that I wasn't even able to really leave for a couple of hours. I had to drink like 5 cups of tea, and they were just like hugging me and putting blankets on me because I literally had lost all of my body temperature. It didn't make me sick though, but definitely my former high priest, who's in the spirit realm, always has been since I've known him, was there to protect me. So I kind of like heard him tell the spirits, you need to step back and leave now. So that was probably, I'd say, one of the more impactful ones for me because it took 3 or 4 days for me to get back into normal from that channeling. And that was not something I'd ever experienced before. So it was pretty intense.
So I'm curious, that first experience that you had, what brought you to that location to make you go to that space?
In the Berkshires, my former spiritual teacher was doing a group party over there. So she would do group parties for bridal showers and stuff like that. And I believe it was a bridal shower group up there. And I was visiting from Puerto Rico because I would go up a couple of times a year for my training. And I went with her to that event to kind of like just see the grounds and see how she did things and all of that. And it was just the spirits connected with me really quickly when I got up there. But the Berkshires where we were was in Massachusetts. So it would have been on the New York, Virginia line, I think. It would have been the New York, closer to the New York border side of the Berkshires. But yeah, I was with her. She was doing the event, and I was just walking around the grounds. And that experience was very interesting because I was on my period. And what a lot of people don't know within the occult, or they don't care, is you shouldn't be doing any form of magical spell work or reading for clients or riding horses or anything like that. And so I was just walking around. So I think me being on my period was the one thing that kind of like accelerated the activity with me. And then when I went down by the horses, I wasn't even thinking. I was just like, and a bunch of ladies were down there getting ready to go on a ride. And all of their horses started to just come over to me. And literally, I was circled by like 5 horses. And I'm like, okay, pentagram. I'm like, okay, sweethearts, you need to go. And I didn't even really think about being on my period, but it could have been the spirit connection, though, too, because I worked with Rayanan at one point, and Rayanan's connection is to the horses. So it could have been one or the other, but yeah, definitely I think being on my period accelerated that activity for me.
I would agree with that 100% because I had a couple of experiences when it was my time of the month, and I didn't think about it ahead of time, but boy, I sure thought about it after. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people that practice, or I would say not a lot of the older generation, but the newer generation don't think about that. They're just like, oh, just like whatever. And there was a shop here in Oregon I had gone to when I first moved home, just to kind of see what it was about, just to kind of like see what shops were around, what they sold, and all of that. And they had a goddess statue over by the register, and it was red. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with that? And they're like, oh, we put our period blood every month, we squeeze it out and we pour it over our goddess statue. And I was like, okay, I'm leaving this store.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that, but I can imagine. I get that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. And it's like, no, yeah, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be around anything like that. You're just putting dead energy on your goddess. So
yeah, that's interesting. I have never heard of that. That's different.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So I definitely have had some journeys like that, just experiencing things. How long did it take you to start doing readings? When did that really come together for you?
Mm, I've been doing readings for well over 25 years. I really started doing them when I was living in Puerto Rico. That's really when I connected to my witch memories. It was over there. I had throughout my life had certain visions that didn't make sense, but I wasn't born into a family that practiced. So I was unaware of what all was going on. And then um, with somebody I was with at one point in my life, he was into psychics and all of that when I was trying to find my way, and I was in a Kojic church at the time, and he had like the psychic hotline and loved running up my phone bill. And one night he was just like, "Oh, well, the psychic I'm talking to wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Like, all right. And
Mhm.
she's talking to me, and I'm just like, and I was like, I don't believe in this. And I probably did, but didn't, because
Right.
I knew I was psychic, but I just don't like people reading me unless I give them permission.
Right.
And she's telling me all these things about how I don't trust him and that he's not good. I'm going to get in trouble with him and all of this stuff. And I'm like, no. And then she's telling me stuff about me, and I'm like, no. And then I hang up. I'm like, holy shit. It's like she was like dead on.
Right.
Um, but really, I got into reading my cards when I got into Puerto Rico. The energy in the Bermuda Triangle, being around the Orishas and the different Velez and the spirits on the island just really woke me up to really searching for who I was. And then my former husband had bought me my first deck. It was a Renaissance tarot. It was a Italian deck
Hmm.
that I had used. So I was starting with that, and then really kind of got into it when I found my spiritual teacher, and started doing my training. And then just really, Christian Day had given me my first deck that I actually connected to. My former teacher had also given me a deck, but it was a smaller version of the one I use. But just been doing that. But professionally, I've been doing readings for about 25 years. So I was 24/7 practicing and doing readings and clients in Puerto Rico. And then when I got home to Oregon, I took a hiatus for a few years just because I had to go through some healing and some cleansing and just reground myself and get a good balance back in my magic and my work. And then I would say locally, I've been doing it for about 8 years here locally, but altogether about 25 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you primarily do readings with tarot cards? Is that your choice?
Tarot cards, yes. I do use the pendulum if a question can't come through clear on the cards. I also do psychic reading. It really depends on the client. And I will do medium and channeling, but again, that's going to depend on the client and the surroundings that I am. I think last month was my first time when I literally, because I do events in Vancouver over at Love Potions Magical Perfumery. I do the Psychic Fridays over there sometimes. And last month when I was there, it just seemed like everybody I was reading for had a connection to Hecate. Everybody. And I was just like, whoa, okay, here we go. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Huh? And she's my patron goddess. And then I had a couple of people that I did past life readings on, which I'd never done before in my life. And they just came to me just like, okay, so I can do past life readings, but tarot is my main mean of divination, but I do astrology, traditional astrology, as
So
well.
can you expand on that? I read that as something that you do is traditional astrology. What do you mean by traditional? What does that mean?
So traditional astrology is going back to when Gadberry, Lily, Bruno, Galileo during the Middle Ages, 1600s. So using more of a predictive type of astrology. So you're not working with Uranus, Pluto, or Neptune. You're only working with the 5 planets and the 2 celestials.
Okay.
And then it's more based off of like when Henry VIII would go to an astrologer or his wife Mary, it would predict how many marriages you would be based off of how many planets were around your sun, or if you were going to have a bad pregnancy. It can determine if you're going to be born into money, or if you're going to throughout your life have a lot of money, or if you're going to be poor, if you're going to inherit. It's a very much more of a predictive type of astrology. So it kind of would be along the lines with tarot on some degree. So you're working with fixed stars.
Gotcha.
In the readings, you're working with the Arabic lunar mansions. What position is your moon in is going to determine what lunar mansion rules you. So like for me, I have a Pisces moon, so my lunar mansion is about the 27th or 28th of that. And that's going to bring in different characteristics for you. And then with my readings, I also incorporate the position of the Egyptian ruling god for you based off of the Cairo calendar. So, and then I bring in archangels or your guardian angel based off of your birthday. So it's not karmic or spiritual or modern. It's very much, you're going to have money starting here. You're going to go into this line of potential career. You could have anxiety issues. It can predict types of medical issues that you have. So it goes even to Culpeper, because Culpeper was phenomenal for creating his medical book based off of astrology and based off of the body parts to the signs, to the actual signs.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Deeper, yeah.
It sounds really neat. So I noticed that you have some business references on your page. What business are you working on primarily at this time?
Right now, I am working on my store, Hecate's Hearth LLC. It was a revamp of a former business that I was in with a former friend of mine. And I focus on doing customized ritual oils. So I will create ritual oils in a ritual, basing them on, I have one that's the signature one. It's Persephone's oil. And then I also do a Persephone's incense. And that's a seasonal oil because, of course, I use real pomegranates. And you can only make it when the pomegranates come out. So I really focus on doing that one in ritual with invoking Persephone, bringing those energies into the incense. And I also do customized incense where I grow a good amount of the herbs and flowers in my yard that actually go into them. I don't grow all of them, but I do have a good amount going that I'm trying to expand on. And then I also do my psychic readings and my astrology readings and that. I make candles. And then I'm thinking about somewhere expanding back into doing my soaps, because I used to make soaps when I lived in Puerto Rico. But I haven't gotten to that point yet. And then I do, like, for example, this one here is Hecate's Heart, is one of the ritual oils. So I create them and then soak them and let them kind of like bring in the energies. And then this is her incense. So just kind of like encase them in the jars. And then when I get ready to bag and jar them, I actually do a ritual. And then this is one that I'm working on for dream pillows. So it's just smelling so yummy.
Is it? Nice. Yeah. It looks pretty. It's very colorful. I love it.
but it's gonna be dream pillows. So I'm working on that because I've had quite a few clients ask about oils and incense for anxiety
Sure.
and for sleeping, which is definitely an issue right now in the
Yeah,
in society with everything going on. So
absolutely.
I'm working on that, but I do a lot of quite a few things. I do house cleansings for clients. I had a client recently that it took about 4 to 5 months to get her house cleansed because the spirit didn't want me to see it, but she had spirits coming through her walls.
Oh,
And then come to find out that many years before I had even lived here, there was a murder in that apartment, and the guy's energy was kind of like taking on her husband.
oh,
But later, as I had done some egg cleansings with her, the her spirit was like, I'm not gonna let Darcy see me. And I was like, I'll see you, don't worry about it. And we did some egg cleansings, and its shape manifested about 2 weeks later inside the actual egg cleanse, and come to find out it was an imp.
mm,
So I created a very potent smelly incense that was specifically, I call it demon be gone. But literally it was so smelly, but it took quite a while to get that out. So I do house cleansings, I do spiritual cleansings. I also create customized oils for clients for their rituals, and then I do spiritual baths. So if somebody needs either a detox or they need a truth reveal, I'll
mhm.
create specific spiritual baths for clients based off of that as well. So I do quite a few things, and then I'm a minister, so I can marry people
Nice.
and do baby blessings and death rites and stuff like that. So I have my temple over here that I founded in Salem,
Hmm.
Massachusetts. I brought a chapter over here, Temple of Diana Inc.
Okay.
Haven't been doing much with that, but trying to kind of get back into doing a little bit more with that. Just because everybody, their lives went on, everybody kind of moved around. People that were ministers in the temple in Massachusetts, a lot of them moved out of the area. So that's just trying to get that one back off the ground too.
That's good. That sounds like you got your hands in a lot of different avenues. So that's amazing that you're able to do so many different things. I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, I'm
So
trying.
yeah, well, that's good though. I mean, you're
Yeah.
staying. So when you go to the perfumery on Fridays, tell us what that typically entails. If someone were to go to the store and ask for you, what are they getting? What are your options when you're there? What is that for?
Okay, so that shop is owned by Mara Fox. So she has events every month, and every month she has what's called a Psychic Friday. So every month, different readers will come in. So there will be a reader that will do lemanoid, or a reader that will work with crystals, a reader that will do tarot, a reader that will do astrology. Everybody is different. She tries to curtail to have one reader doing something different than the other in the for each event, and she tries to rotate local psychics to get them the exposure and the clients that they need. So that's typically every third Friday. And I'm not always there. I just happened to be there this last month and this month. But you go in and you pick a reader. The clerk who is working that event at that time, it could be one of two people, will kind of go down who is available, what they're doing, and then the client purchases a reading and they get a token, and then they go to that client. So it's like a 15-minute reading, and then it's just where you put a token in, and then you do your reading with that client. I always have my business card available so that they can scan it. So if they want to reach out and maybe do something different on the outside, that's fine. But they can go from reader to reader, and that's what most of them do. But in the shop itself, she has um, an area of books. She has an area of crystal. She's got a statue area. She's got a miscellaneous area. She's got swords. She's got jewelry. She's got perfumes, because her main thing is the pheromone perfumes. She has a lot of amazing stuff in there. She's got garb, witch's garb. She's got tarot cards. She's got tablecloths. There's a room that we as readers, if we have clients, private clients, we can go over and pay to use the room. So she has quite a few things going on in that shop. It's a really amazing shop. And recently, I think it was just this last week, she had posted that the city had put her shop on the news, I believe it was, being one of the shops that was building the community up in downtown Vancouver. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and I believe the address is 1104 Main Street, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
I have been to the shop a few times, and it's delightful. I went in there. A friend of ours, Anne Marie, does artwork.
Oh, I know Anne Marie.
Yeah, so we went through. My husband and I went through to go see her, and I was amazed. And then we showed up on a day when there wasn't a big corral of people doing things in the store, but there's so much to see. I still don't think I've seen it all.
Probably.
I tried to zero in on one subject at a time, and it's like squirrel. I keep shiny. I go to the book section and I could stay there for hours. There's so much cool stuff. And then there's like these little tucked away hallways that have,
knickknacks,
things for just tchotchke stuff. But the whole front window is lined up with crystals that you can hang from your rearview mirror or just in a window, and there's tons of candles and tons of crystals and incense and you name it. And then there's a clothing line that they carry that I've only ever seen online.
Holy clothing,
and it's beautiful stuff. If anybody watching this, if you are listening, if you like to wear Renaissance type looking clothing or just to have it for Halloween or for an event, there's capes, there's dresses, there's gowns, there's incredible stuff. I mean, it's absolutely knockout, beautiful stuff. Yeah. And honestly, there's new things constantly. So it's not like you're going to go in there and go, oh yeah, they have that same thing. They don't. Yeah. There's a lot of new stuff.
I have to really behave myself.
Right? Oh no, I totally get that. It's like, oh no.
I know, because I use some of the crystals when I do my readings, and I wanted to buy it, and I was just like, and Mercy's like, Darcie, you got cash. I'm like, I got bills to pay.
Right? Oh, I totally get that.
Yeah, that store is amazing. Yeah.
It is. It's super fun.
She supports the community. She supports all of the people that work within the community. So, I mean, she really does do a lot for her fellow readers, and she gives the opportunity for her people to actually do readings in the store too. So she doesn't have somebody come in that's a house reader. The house readers are the employees.
Nice. Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So I noticed that you had an event posted for October. So this episode that we're doing right now is going to come out before October. So do you want to talk about the event that's October 3rd through the 5th, a live occult paranormal conference?
Yeah, that is Spectral Evidence. That's being hosted by Christian Day and his husband, Brian Kane. They're also the hosts of WitchCon and Festival of the Dead in Salem, and then Hexfest down in New Orleans. So quite a few things going on with that. Spectral Evidence is its first year. Christian had done a show with Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins on this new season, doing the Houdini seance.
Right.
and based off of the picture that they got with all of the energy. And my understanding is Christian studied with Lori Cabot some years back. He decided that he was going to bring forth spectral evidence during October to bring in more paranormal speakers and hosts, and focusing more on the season of the dead and talking about those things that are associated with the dead. I wanted to do Dumb Supper, but another lady had already beat me to it. So I'm
What
doing
is that?
Dumb Supper is one of the events that he does over in Salem in October. It is a silent supper that you do to engage with the dead. So the way he has it set up, and it's basically you honor the dead this way. You do it during the last week of October or during the Day of the Dead. But it's a silent supper. You start with your dessert and you eat your meal backwards. It's
Okay.
it's seven different courses.
Okay.
And through that, you are not speaking at all. You are just in silence. You're just thinking about the person that you are wanting to communicate with. You are creating an altar with skeletons and candles and offerings of their favorite foods to them. And then you're eating, listening to just music, and just going inward. And either if you need to let go of something to have closure with somebody who's passed away, or have a conversation. It's very powerful, very powerful. I've gone to many of his Dumb Suppers over the years, and the one I went to in 2023 was the most impactful for me.
Yeah.
Because I had gone through some things in Salem about 10 years prior, and I hadn't been back, and I was ready to just let go and do some healing, and it was a healing trip for me. And that Dumb Supper, I don't even think in my lifetime I have let that much just go from me. I was sobbing the whole time. I was able to have closure and healing with my father's passing. He'd passed away many, many years ago while I was still living in Puerto Rico. But I had always felt guilty about that because I wasn't able to be with him. My former husband had passed away. I've been in a relationship since, but still I hadn't really allowed myself to get closure. And then my cat had died. So I had a lot of stuff that I was I didn't realize I was holding on to it until I got in there.
Right.
And of course, the betrayal from my former spiritual teacher was still
Right.
kind of holding on. So I was just like, I literally felt like so many things just like coming out of me in that Dumb Supper. And I really wanted to do a workshop on that. But I'm going to be doing one on coins to ferrymen, which is going to talk about Sharon and the river Styx. And then I'm going to be doing a meditation with Sharon. In that, I'm going to also kind of like talk about the altar of the dead, to how you would set one up for that. I'm trying to do it to where I can maybe show how to make a soul coin, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that yet.
So this is all online, this whole thing?
Yeah, spectral evidence is all online. Any of the people who are presenting on their websites, like you see on mine, has a QR scan code. They can scan that code and they can buy the tickets to the event, and then they have a lifetime access to that event, so they can go back and rewatch any of those classes if they weren't able to get into them to see them prior.
That's really great.
They're all pre-recorded, so they're all recorded, so you can always go back and watch them. And it's the same thing with WitchCon that he does in February. You can do
That's really neat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So have you had some other classes that you've taught in the past that you thought were really helpful to people?
Psychic self-defense is one of my classes that I teach. Haven't taught that in a while, but that one I believe is super important. A lot of people want to just jump right on in to magic.
Yeah.
They don't have the slightest clue what type of spirits or energies or demons or whatever may be running around that they're invoking, or elementals if they're out in the nature. So psychic self-defense for me is really important. If I work with anybody, they have to do that first. They have to understand what energies are out there, how people can mentally manipulate you, how to set your boundaries, how to protect those boundaries so that other people can attack you. That's one of my main ones that I teach the most.
Well, I'd love for you to keep going with that, because I think that's a very underserved aspect in the realm of paranormal teaching, because I encounter that a lot. I have several people that have contacted me that are new psychics or new mystics and new mediums, and they either know absolutely nothing about psychic self-defense, or they're already neck deep into something that's completely racking them of their energy and draining them beyond. They're not sleeping, they're being invaded constantly with things that are definitely not their energy, and it's like, wow, what it's hard to even respond to it. It's like, we
I
have a lot
know.
of work to do. This is involved. This is not a 5-minute conversation,
Yeah,
you know,
it
and
is. And
it's
that was,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was something that my former spiritual teacher made me do before she started really working with me. She's, you need to understand. And that was something I would teach my students in Puerto Rico, and they would get so bored. They're like, Darcy, it's like, if you don't want to learn this, then you don't want to learn the craft.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Because if you cannot learn how to shield yourself, and you're saying you're depressed all the time, you're anxious all the time, oh, people, oh, I've got ADHD. I don't want to hear it. You don't understand. Actually, yeah, I do. I was born with a very hypermotor energy, but I've learned how you can control it.
Yes.
You can control your own mind. You just have to be able to do the work.
Right.
And psychic self-defense and shielding yourself when you're doing a cleansing of a home, or like for me, because I channel so much and spirits will jump in me, and they have for years. And I think when I went to the first Oregon Ghost Conference, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. We had gone over, I was with a friend of mine, and we had gone over to the Freemason Lodge for one of Natalie's ghost auras.
Right.
Investigations, and we got there a day late, and they still let us in, but the lady was just like, which one of you is sensitive? I'm like, that would be me. I'm like, there's a guy standing behind me about 6'4", and she's, okay, you're not the only one. And so we went upstairs, and I could feel myself getting very cold very quickly, and I got up there and we sat down, and then all of a sudden I'm just sitting here. I feel somebody just plop on my knee, literally within like 5 minutes. We weren't even up there 5 minutes. And my friend and I sat down on the wall, and she's just like, what just happened? I was like, oh, there's a man sitting on my knee. And she's like, huh? What the fuck? And I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you. And she's just like, I thought you were joking. I'm like, no.
Nope.
And then I'm sitting there, and I was like, and then I heard him say, well, can I jump in you? Can I use you? And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, so here we go. And she's, what did you say? I said, he's gonna get ready to jump in me. And she's, what the fuck? She's, I'm and literally the entire bench just went floop. And she's like, what? I said, he's in my body. And then I was just like, tunnel vision, because it's hard to describe unless you actually have channeled somebody what
Right.
it's like to have a spirit in you. But yeah, he was trying to hang out with me all night, and then we did the second round, and um, the second round there were some darker shadow spirits on the lower level. But when we got back, I was totally fine the next day, and it's all because just knowing how to psychically protect yourself,
Right.
knowing how to do your boundaries.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I have encountered what I call, I came up with a new label and I coined a phrase, psychic puberty, because I
Oh,
have found that people become psychic in a way that seems sudden, even though it's not. It's probably been going on their whole life and they're just inching closer to realization.
yeah.
And yet they're in puberty. It's really uncomfortable. There's a lot going on
Mhm.
and they don't seem to be able to get out of it. They seem to almost fight against it constantly. It's like they're getting messages, they're getting information, they're getting sensations, but they're not able to quantify what's happening. And there's so much self-doubt and there's so
Okay.
many things surrounding them that overwhelms them that they try to just block it all, and that doesn't work. You have to
No.
do the work, and it's something to go through. It's not, I don't know, I guess the public perception of psychics is so far from the reality of it, and I just keep hoping that we'll get more education and more
Yeah.
awareness, I suppose is a good word, to just help people understand that it's not an easy calling.
Uh-uh.
You know, everyone's capable of some type of spiritual awareness, I believe, or psychic awareness, but it's not easy. It's not a simple thing.
No, it's not. It can
No.
be hard on people if they don't know what they're doing.
Right. Well, it's very draining.
Yeah, that's that's actually a good coin phrase, because I've dealt with a lot of people lately that I've been reading for,
Mm-hmm.
where that seems to be coming up,
Yeah.
and
It just,
they
yeah.
don't understand it.
Psychic puberty just made sense to me because people are suffering and they're growing and they're developing, but it's so awkward and it's so exhausting and there's so much discomfort and all of it. They're excited. They have this good energy and it's not a bad thing. It's just a complicated experience to go through. It's not a 1, 2, 3, you're done, or read a book and you have it, or it's not a quick thing. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I try to implement is just for people to be patient with themselves. They're in such a hurry to read cards or to read a pendulum or, you know, anything. And it's like, it's not a race. It's a marathon, and think turtle, not rabbit. It's much better that way because you miss stuff when you're in a hurry. And I get it. I mean, our world is complicated and messy, and the idea of the supernatural sounds like a huge relief. It's a huge step away from the norm that can be so overwhelming. And it just seems like the paranormal has become a lot more fun and a lot more exciting.
But it's not always fun and it's not always exciting. It can be very dangerous.
Extremely. Well, and I think that's very true. And that's part of what I try to have on this podcast is.
Yeah. And then in November, when I get, I'll be going over to Port Gamble to the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. So that's going to be from the 7th to the 9th. And I did that for the first time last year.
Yeah.
And that town is so haunted.
Yeah.
So much paranormal activity going on over there. It's just a little quaint, unincorporated town. It used to be like a loggers town, with indigenous people, Native Americans on the other side. But that's a really fun event to go to.
I haven't gone yet. I need to go do that.
Well, the people I had met last year at the Oregon Ghost Conference, or I should say this year, are actually, I have my shop in their coffee shop in downtown Portland. So I have my kiosk over there.
Mhm.
And then I do readings over there on Thursdays and Saturdays.
Nice.
But they are paranormal investigators as well. And so they're going to be going with me to Port Gamble so they can do some investigation,
Nice.
do some investigating. But yeah, and then at the end of November, I'll be doing the dark market up in Longview.
What's that?
It is for vendors. I have to get the address for that. It's, I believe, on my Facebook.
Okay.
But it's just it's dark market. It's hosted by a group over up in Longview, Washington. But it's for occultists and different vendors and psychic readers and stuff go there to sell their products, do their readings. I'll be doing my readings and selling my products at that event. And that's November 29th, 28th, 29th. Let me get the exact dates of that, because it's the last weekend. So it's the 29th and 30th of November.
Okay.
In Longview. But I can get more information to you on that.
Okay.
But that'll be my first time doing that event.
Yeah.
And then my second year doing the Port Gamble. So
nice. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Fun for sure.
Yeah. And then I have another event in October, but it's not confirmed yet. So
okay.
I don't want to speak to it, but it would be on the other side of the country.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you just to get a reading or to get an astrology reading or whatever, to check out your services, how would they reach you? Can you give us some contact information?
They can reach me on my website, Hecate's Hearth. It is www.hecate, Hecate, Hearth, Hearth 55.com. And you can just go onto the upper menu and hit book. It gives you the option of either booking a psychic reading, a group party, because I do group events as well. It does need to be a minimum of 5 people. And then they can also book the astrology reading there as well. The tarot readings I typically will do downtown at Sinister Coffee and Creamery on 3rd and Morrison at 301 Southwest Morrison.
Okay.
I don't go to people's homes unless I do spiritual cleansings. Okay. And I don't bring people into my home either. But that's how they can do the readings. Astrology readings, I do interpret them myself, and then I will either schedule an appointment with the person to sit down and go over the reading, or I will email it to them, whichever they prefer to do. But all of my services are on my website, Hecate's Hearth 55.com. And then merchandise is downtown at 301 Southwest Morrison in the Sinister Coffee and Creamery. And I'm down there Thursdays and Saturdays. So I do have conversations with people about the products, how to use them. I have a brochure on my kiosk that tells how to use the ritual oils, how to use the incense, how to use the bath salts. And pretty much because a lot of people don't understand that they can use incense to dress a candle, to create that magic that they're working with. So I do a lot of that with that too.
Nice. So do you actually teach candle magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually do have a candle magic class that I put together last year for WitchCon. But yeah, it was 2 years ago. But yeah, I do teach candle magic. I did do a workshop at Love Potion and Magical Perfumery earlier this year on incense. So I took a bunch of oils and herbs from my supplies, and then the people who came and did the workshop got to create their own incense, and they learned how to do the blending and creating for specific purposes. They learned how to do the breath of life and to really just give the energy to the herbs and their memories back to them to where they could use them. So that was super fun.
It
It was
sounds
very
fun.
messy, but it was
Yeah, but it sounds like fun though.
oh yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one. But I do teach how to make incense. I do teach candle magic. I do teach psychic self-defense. I also have a class on astrological magic and talismans as well. Those are my main classes I'm working on. I'm just trying to get through all the events through November.
Right.
And then starting next year, I'm going to be looking at trying to do tarot, how to read the tarot, but really going through each card and how to look at the symbolism. That one I've got to really kind of look at what I'm going to do for that, but it's possibly going to be like 1 to 5 cards per workshop, and that would be downtown at the Sinister Coffee and Creamery.
Are you planning on going to the Oregon Ghost Conference next March?
Yes. Yeah, I'm already slotted for that. So already have everything set up for that. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. So are you going to be doing readings there or teaching classes? What are you going to be doing for that?
I'm not going to do classes this year. I am going to be vending. Possibly I'll do my readings too at the same area that I'm doing my vending. But yeah, I'll be definitely doing that.
Nice. That sounds great. So you've talked about a lot of stuff up and coming, and it sounds like you're pretty active with all of the work that you do. Is there anything that you're really curious about that you're looking into these days? Is there any modality that you're kind of researching or that you're curious about or something like that?
I would say more paranormal more than anything else, just kind of like more about behind the scenes of it, learning more about like the equipment. That's something I've been kind of tinkering with the last client that I had to do the cleansing on. I've put some of the ghost apps on my phone to kind of like read spirits. I think on my Facebook, I did a shot of a ghost that I caught in the coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
And that was using some of the apps used in part of the equipment for ghost hunters. So that's kind of something that I really am wanting to learn a little bit more about, the back door behind the scenes of the paranormal investigation. How do you set things up, and how do you get the evidence? How do you edit it and really kind of like look to see? So getting those perspectives from the paranormal industry.
I think that's fun too. And I had no idea how much equipment was available and possible.
I know.
I had no clue. And I go back to, the Ghostbusters movie from the 80s. And it's like Dan Aykroyd, who I love. Okay?
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd grew up in a paranormal family. His whole family believed in numerology and astrology, everything. Ghosts, name it. And so he actually has done a lot of paranormal research on his own and with friends. And the stuff that they brought into the movie was stuff that he had imagined and thought of. That was his story.
Oh,
he put stuff into the people don't realize this, but Ghostbusters is his story. That's his.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he jumped into that because that was more about what he grew up believing and thinking and knowing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very intelligent person, and he's very knowledgeable about a lot of subjects. But the whole equipment thing really blew me away. And to find out that, yes, there are things that can help decipher a ghost speaking. It's like I'm used to hearing them as a medium.
Yeah.
And there is nothing that makes me squeal like a child more than hearing a ghost talking in my head and then hearing them talk somewhere else and other people can hear it.
Yeah.
That is exciting to me. That is amazing that that's even possible. I love that stuff.
Yeah, the Echo Box was something that Natalie had used at the Freemason Lodge, not this year, but the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend that had gone with me, she'd never been to anything like that. And they were asking people for volunteers to go and put the headphones on. And she's, oh, I think I want to do it. I was like, you might not want to. I mean, one, we're in a Freemason lodge.
Right.
That was, I believe, founded in the 1800s. It's one of the older lodges.
Right.
And two, Freemasons don't like women.
Nope.
For some reason, Frank loved me. He didn't give me any problems. He was just like, everybody kept asking all the wrong questions. And then I kept asking, why, what is it about me that you like? And he told me, you look like somebody I was involved with. So I reminded him of somebody he was in love with in his time frame. So he was not happy with some of the other women in there. And my friend had never experienced, so she didn't know who the Freemasons were, where they had the 33 degrees, where initiations included rape and sometimes murder of women. And she's just like, oh, I'll get on there. And I was like, okay. And she's going through, and then all of a sudden she grabs him and throws him to the ground. And we get back to the room later, and I was just like, are you okay? She's Darcie. I heard this. I said, I told you not to. I said, do you know who the Freemasons are? She's, yeah, they're Masons. They build things. I'm like, no. I'm like, they're a secret society, like Stolen Bones.
Yeah.
Their initiations dealt with murders and rapes of women, and they don't like women. And she's like, I did not know that. So it was really hard for her.
Right.
To go through that. And she didn't have the psychic protection because she didn't know about that. She basically just put herself in front saying, here I am to gobble me up. And and it scared her. It really scared
her. It should have, because that, when the level of intensity that their belief system involved, and their follow through was pretty enormous. They accomplished a lot for our country in their own way, but they did it with a very flagrant disregard for the female race.
As did the Skull and Bones, as did all of the other secret societies on the big Ivy League campuses.
Right. So I'm glad that our generation is shifting into more female energy. It's long overdue.
Yeah.
We need it. Definitely, we need it.
Yeah.
So if you were going to give a suggestion to someone in psychic puberty, what would you tell them? Because I have things that I say to people, but I want to hear your input. So if you're talking to somebody that's clearly a new psychic or psychic medium, what's one of the few things that you would say to them to be mindful of?
Be mindful of your surroundings. Don't assume that every spirit is a good spirit, because they can attack you. They can draw your energy. They can absorb your energy away. They can also put the energy on you from them that may change your personality, may change your behavior. If it's a spirit that's died and it doesn't realize it's dead, it could also put on you the feelings of how it died. The experiences it went through. So just be mindful. Just don't jump into being a psychic. Learn how to defend yourself psychically first. Learn the history of magic. Learn the history of psychism. Definitely don't allow anybody to hypnotize you. Because they can input anything into your brain that they want when you're in a hypnotic state. And that was something my teacher taught me, was like, don't let anybody hypnotize you.
That's interesting. I'm actually a hypnotherapist, but I work from a clinical level with people that have addiction or that have things to deal with that
Yeah.
are a different nature. So it's not that I do clinical hypnotherapy, but
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about because it can be very scary. There's
Yeah.
there's dark hypnotherapy that's very spooky, and yeah.
Yeah. And dark hypnotherapy was more from the fringe side of things.
Right.
But also occultists, when you're, say, going to a teacher,
Right.
you don't know that teacher, they can attack you as well.
Right.
So just be really mindful of the people you're working with and your surroundings and the spaces that you're in, and learn how to protect yourself.
That's very good advice. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Darcy. You did a wonderful job today. I love chatting with you. It's good to get to see you and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, we have to get together
We do.
outside.
Yes, we do. That would be awesome. It was a little warm today. It got up to 88 here in Camas, so it's
What?
warm. Yeah,
We only got to 80 over here in Gresham.
it's warm, and it's been really windy, like crazy windy. Yeah, it's definitely like the fall wind coming into play. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited for fall.
I am too. I love it.
Fall.
Definitely.
Fireplace, my pumpkin
Right.
spice, my soups, my stews. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is Holly from Holly's Pandorium saying thank you for joining us. And as my friend Jay likes to remind me, please hit the like and subscribe. It helps more people see this content that are interested. And we'll look forward to seeing you again. This is Holly saying thank you. And thank you, Darcy, for joining us today. And we'll see you again soon.
Okay, bye-bye.